The American frontier of the 1800s was a place where the map ended and the killing began. Out there was no law to call, no backup coming over the hill, and certainly no mercy from the elements or the enemies. A man walking into the Great Plains or the Rocky Mountains faced a gauntlet of lethal threats, hostile tribes defending their land, grizzled outlaws with nothing to lose, and apex predators like the grizzly bear that could snap a human spine like a dry twig. The frontier was a killing ground. One moment of being outgunned meant a lonely death. One weapon malfunction, a damp priming pan or a cracked stock, meant you instantly transitioned from hunter to prey. One wrong choice of armament meant your family back east would never see you again. To survive, the men who pushed westward had to be more than just tough. They had to be walking arsenals. They needed firearms that could drop a charging buffalo at 100 yards, blades that could gut an attacker in a silent heartbeat, and backup weapons for when the primary steel failed. How many weapons did it actually take to stay alive? How did they maintain this massive weight of lead and steel while trekking thousands of miles? Today we are stripping back the layers of history to explore the complete, lethal arsenal of the American frontiersman. Number 1. Pennsylvania Long Rifle. The Pennsylvania Long Rifle was the undisputed king of the frontier. While European soldiers were still clumping together to fire inaccurate smoothbore muskets, the American frontiersman was using rifling, spiral grooves inside the barrel, to spin a lead ball like a modern football. This allowed a skilled marksman to pick off a target at 200 or even 300 yards. In a landscape where distance was your only defense, the long rifle was the ultimate wall of protection. However, this precision came at a price. The barrel was immense, often 40 to 48 inches long, making it difficult to maneuver in thick timber. Loading was a ritual. You measured the black powder from a horn, placed a greased linen patch over the muzzle, and rammed a lead ball down the tight grooves. It took 30 to 45 seconds to reload. If you missed your first shot at a charging bear, you had a long half-minute of terror before you could fire again. This is why the long rifle was treated with religious care. Men cleaned the bore daily and kept their possibles bag filled with spare flints and dry tow. Without a working rifle, a frontiersman was just a ghost waiting to happen. Number 2. Flintlock pistol. When the fight moved from the open plains into the shadows of the brush, the long rifle became a liability. This is where the flintlock pistol earned its keep. Usually chambered in a massive 50 to 60 caliber, these were man-stoppers. They were designed to be drawn from a belt or a saddle holster and fired with one hand. This was crucial for men on horseback who needed their other hand to control the reins during a running fight. Because these were single-shot weapons, frontiersmen rarely carried just one. It was common to see a man with a brace of pistols tucked into his sash. The reliability of the flintlock mechanism was always a concern. Dampness or a dull flint could result in a flash in the pan where the powder ignited, but the gun didn't fire. Therefore, the pistol was never the primary choice for hunting, but it was the primary choice for survival when an enemy was suddenly 10 feet away and closing fast. Number 3. Bowie Knife. If there is one weapon that defines the violence of the American West, it is the Bowie knife. This wasn't a kitchen tool, it was a dedicated killing machine, with a blade often reaching 12 inches and a distinct clip point. The Bowie was designed to pierce deep into vital organs and slice through heavy leather clothing. The crossguard was reinforced to prevent an opponent's blade from sliding down and severing the user's fingers. In the 1800s, Jim Bowie's toothpick was a psychological weapon. Its reputation was so fearsome that many outlaws would surrender rather than face a man wielding one. Combat with a Bowie was intimate and brutal. It required a man to be in the lungs of his enemy. But the Bowie was also the frontiersman's most versatile tool, used to skin a deer, chop through vines, or even perform primitive surgery. It was the one piece of steel that never ran out of ammunition. Number 4. Tomahawk. The tomahawk was a weapon of pure utility and terrifying lethality. Borrowed from the native tribes, the frontiersman's version often featured a steel head with a sharp blade on one side and a hammer pole or a smoking pipe on the other. It was lighter than a standard axe, allowing it to be swung with lightning speed. A master of the hawk could split a skull in a single downward stroke or use the hooked blade to catch and pull an enemy's weapon out of their hand. The most legendary aspect of the tomahawk was its use as a projectile. A man who could accurately throw a tomahawk 20 feet had a silent ranged weapon that could end a fight before the enemy could even draw their breath. Maintenance was simple. Just keep the head tight on the hickory handle and the edge sharp enough to shave with. It was the silent partner of the heavy rifle. Number 5. Scalping knife. While the Bowie was the heavy hitter, the scalping knife was the specialist. It was smaller, usually with a 5 to 7 inch blade, and kept at a surgical sharpness. Its name comes from the grim practice of taking trophies of war, a reality of frontier conflict used by both sides to prove a kill or claim a bounty. But beyond the gore, the scalping knife was an essential backup. It was fast and light, often hidden in a sheath behind the back or around the neck. In a wrestling match on the ground where a long blade couldn't be drawn, the scalping knife was the weapon that ended the struggle. Number 6. Shotgun. Often called the fowling piece or coach gun, the shotgun was the king of the scatter effect. Loaded with buckshot, multiple lead balls about the size of a pea, a single blast could cover an area the size of a man's chest at 20 yards. For a frontiersman protecting his cabin at night, the shotgun was the ultimate defense. You didn't need to be a world-class marksman to hit a target in the dark. You just needed to point in the general direction and pull the trigger. It was also the most effective tool for putting small game like turkey or rabbit on the campfire, ensuring the frontiersman didn't starve while searching for bigger prey. Number 7. Derringer pocket pistol. The Derringer was the last-ditch weapon. Tiny enough to be hidden in a vest pocket or a boot, it was often the only weapon a man had left after being disarmed by outlaws. It fired a single, large-caliber bullet. It was useless beyond 5 feet, but at point-blank range, it was a literal lifesaver. The Derringer was the weapon of the gambler and the scout alike. A secret sting in the pocket for when things went south in a crowded saloon or a captured camp. Number 8. Pepperbox revolver. Before Samuel Colt perfected the single-barreled revolver, the Pepperbox was the height of multi-shot technology. It looked like a bundle of barrels that rotated with each pull of the trigger. While heavy and notoriously nose-heavy, it gave a man 6 shots where everyone else had one. The danger was chain firing, where the spark from one barrel would ignite the others, firing all 6 shots at once. Despite the risks, the Pepperbox was a favorite for those who expected to be outnumbered. Number 9. Arkansas toothpick. The Arkansas toothpick was a long, triangular dagger designed for one purpose: thrusting. Unlike the Bowie, which had a curved edge for slicing, the toothpick was straight and balanced for a lethal stab. It was often carried in a sheath down the back of the neck. It was a dueling weapon, a silent killer that could penetrate through a thick buffalo skin coat to reach the heart. It represented the gentlemanly but deadly side of frontier combat. Number 10. War club. In the chaos of a melee, where powder was wet and blades were stuck, the war club was the ultimate equalizer. Often made from a heavy hardwood knot or a stone lashed to a handle, it delivered bone-crushing force that no clothing or leather could protect against. It required no finesse, only strength. For many frontiersmen, the club was an improvised weapon, something grabbed from the forest floor, but it remained a staple for close quarters brutality. Number 11. The sword. Though we associate the 1800s with firearms, many frontiersmen were former military men who brought their sabers with them. A sword offered the greatest reach of any melee weapon. On horseback, a long saber could strike down an opponent before they could get close enough to use a knife. It was a weapon of authority and reach, though its weight made it a luxury that only the most well-equipped scouts would carry. Number 12. The sling. The simplest weapon was also the most silent. A leather pouch and two strings, the sling allowed a frontiersman to launch a stone with the force of a small handgun. It cost nothing to make and required no gunpowder. For a man lost in the wilderness with an empty powder horn, the sling was the difference between a full stomach and starvation. It was the ancient technology that still held its place in the modernizing world of the 1800s. The frontiersman was a product of his environment, a place where life was cheap and steel was precious. He didn't carry these 12 weapons because he wanted to, he had to. Each tool served a specific niche, from the long-range precision of the Pennsylvania rifle to the hidden sting of the Derringer. In a world with no law and no backup, your arsenal wasn't just equipment, it was your life.